Here we are, Gary That Gary, episode number 3. I'm your host, Gary That Gary, and this week's topic, we're going to have some fun. We're going to talk about, should I say, getting under someone else when you're getting over someone after a breakup. We're going to talk about the rebounds. We're going to talk about how our standards dissipate when we do these things. And I got some good stories. Some of you, I don't think there's any of the audience is actually, well, maybe. Oh, well, whatever. So at the gym today, I finally I had an interaction with a woman, not a woman, and so that was interesting. More on that later. Just for the heads up, this is not a safe space. I'm gonna say this every week. If you're triggered by sexual situations, sexual innuendo, shaming of any way, shape, or form, which most of the shaming is on me. Alcohol use, drug use, you don't like certain types of music, and you don't like brutal honesty, man, get off. This is not for you. And if you're under 18, get the hell off. Good God, your parents, shame on your parents. So these are stories from my personal experience. They are beyond contestation. I mean, like, this is what I've done. These are my things. This is all about self-reflection and not self-deception. So a lot of you out there, and I'm not talking about the audience, but some of you ladies that I've dated in the past, lie to yourself about everything. And then tell me I'm a jerk, which so be it. You know what I'm saying? If you can't handle the truth, get out. I'm not a therapist. I won't take your money. Side note, I looked up the New York Times bestsellers on relationships and relationship advice. And so I don't have a PhD. I've only got a master's plus, post-grad, a little bit of post-grad work. But I'm going to read some of those books. I'm going to do some book reviews. Very short book reviews at the end of the podcast, not today. So let's have a good time. Overall, this is entertainment. It's entertainment value, man. So if you don't like entertainment, you don't want to be entertained by me just exposing my stupidity. You know what? I did it wrong, so you don't have to do it right. Or you don't have to do it wrong, really. Let's be realistic. So reality is we've all had an opportunity. Well, let's not do that. So I'm having a moment, man. You know what? I always tell people, don't let the technology beat you, and the technology's beat me today. So it's not beat me in a sexual way, so relax. We've all, in some way, shape, or form, broken up with somebody, and at some point we have gone out and had some sort of random experience sexually. Maybe not. I mean, like, if you haven't, you're a better person than I am. I have a friend of mine. She's been a friend for like 20 years, and she claims she's never had a one-night stand up until like she was in her late 40s or mid 40s. So I didn't mean to date you, girl. I think people know who you are. Anyways, if you haven't had a one-nighter, or you haven't like hooked up with someone on a rebound and turned a relationship, and I'm gonna tell a relationship story here in a second, then let's be realistic, man. That's bullshit. I mean, like, you've either been married to one person your whole life. That's boring as hell. Big L on you. You've been in a relationship with the same person, and or you just, I don't know, maybe you have an identity crisis, and I'm not going to get into that because, like I said, I'm not a therapist, nor am I going to be a pundit on this kind of stuff. So there's a lot of research on Rebound. I read some articles this week, really just boring as hell. They're not experienced articles. They're like, oh, well, if you do, here's the 5 things to do when you break up. Yeah, you know what? I mean, that's cool. Good for clinical psychology. Good for all you psychology majors out there, not your undergrad, the ones that went on to get doctorate or postgraduate work, either a master's and you're an LMFT. And I'll talk about those later. I'm not going to talk about them today, But I love when you go to school and you have no experience in life. And, I'm stopping right there. So this was my warm fuzzy. I said I put in my notes I wanted to be gentle, but I'm not going to be gentle, so I don't care. All right, so last week we talked about breakups. And posted a short earlier this week about charity work, or kind of alluded to charity work. So what do we call charity work? Charity work is somewhat when we hook up with someone that we would not normally bring around our friends. Hey, bring around our friends, which I did that on occasion too and got made fun of. So there's Flair and Elephant Flapjacks to be nicknames, anyways. But I'm all about the inside on a person. So. This is someone that you weren't sexually attracted to, or maybe that you're kind of like, they're all right, but and you knew in your head, I need to hook up with somebody. So that's when those random things happen, when you're out at the bar or wherever it is you may be. So I was in a relationship for about a year. I ran into and met this person. She was very nice. We were in tropical climate. She wiped the sweat off my brow. I really didn't really know her that well. And I was just used to being with someone that was like the devil. I mean, like just horrible personality. Horrible. Beautiful on the outside, smoking hot, but just no personality. So this person was really nice to me, and I let that rebound last for about 3 weeks, maybe 4. We got back to where I was living, and I kind of recognized, and I was friends with a friend of hers. He was a good friend. He is a good friend of mine, little guy. And I had told him, hey, I broke up with so-and-so. And he's like, yeah, I heard, blah, blah. And I said, you know, what it boiled down to is that I'm not going to do her inventory. I'm not going to out her at all. Minus the fact that I found, like, for me, I was just not, I guess after 2 or 3 weeks in this, the whole rebound process, going through that process, I recognized that I was just not sexually attracted to her. And I was still going through these motions, and I thought, this is just not fair. And I was trying to be nice as I could, but I shared that with him. And this dumbass gets drunk, and he texted that to her because she's like, I don't understand why Gary broke up with me. And he texted her and said, well, he told me that, and I'm like, dude. So that's one of my, this is a recent one. And I got some other stuff that I'm going to talk about probably next week or the week after about red flags. And I should have seen the red flag in this person. Don't get me wrong. I'm a giant red flag, and I know that. I'm okay with that. You know what I'm saying? I've accepted myself for who I am, and I've forgiven myself for everything I've done in my life. Things that I keep repeating, that's a different story. But I don't know, man. My behavior in my 30s, I was pretty scandalous. More scandalous than even in my 40s. Yeah, some of you might be chuckling at that. I'm chuckling myself on the inside. I'd break up with somebody, and, you know, I mean, we'd be together a couple months. That usual cycle, my cycle is usually 2 to 3 months. That's just for me. Then sometimes I extend them out longer than I should. But I'd be on a dating site like the next day. I'd be like, oh, I had a breakup. Oh, it's horrible. And after you have to go the back and you guys know the back and forth, back with the text messages and this, that, and the other. Or, you know, sometimes I get the I hate yous and blah, 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 whatever. Doesn't bother me. Not anymore. It used to bother me. So I'd be like, yeah, I'd be trying to line up another date for a couple days. There were times that I was dating somebody, and you know, you can call it serious or whatever, but it was committed and it was exclusive, and I would already be trying to like forecast who am I going to try to date next. You know what I'm saying? Not even go online, because dated some girls that would like check my online history all the time, which rightfully so, guilty's charged. But I was working at a college. I began a relationship with someone there. It really snowballed really fast. We got engaged. We were engaged, I don't know how long, 3-4 months, and then we broke the engagement off. And I shit you not, 2 girls the next day, and everyone knew the office, we were very social with everybody. Everybody in the office went out and drank. 2 girls in the office like hit me up to go out and have drinks. And this is like immediately, like 2-3 days after. You know, so I went out with one girl. You know, she's probably, I think she was my age or a year older or 2. I don't know, whatever. But not interested, just not my speed. You know, we hooked up, whatever, and just kind of like, I told her I'm not looking for anything serious, and she was kind of like, well, I am, and so that just kind of fizzled. And then I hooked up with this other girl, and she was hitting on me hard as soon as she found out I was single, and she's gone through a divorce recently, and girl, you know who you are, because we reconnected 10 years later. I was at a conference, and you called me, so I know you're divorced. Anyways, I hooked up with her a few times. I actually really liked her. I would never say she's the one that got away with. She's the one that was the what if that worked out, because then when the former ex, the ex fiance, we ended up getting married anyways. That's another one of those can't step out of. I'll talk about that some other time. I just found that, like, holy cow, man, like, what in the F? I mean, Gary, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? So I just know that, you know, standard breakup practices, we all deal with them differently. Sometimes you're going to bender. Sometimes, now, not for those of you who practice the bender on a regular occasion. That's your regular weekend. And I'm guilty as charged. I used to do that, you know, when I was working in the bar industry, and I was playing DJ on Sunday nights at a bar. But you know that, so those stories, some of you don't, but my weekend started on Wednesday and it went through Sunday. And it was whether or not, you know, it was how much sleep did you not get? You know, would you have a good time, blah, blah, blah. It was more about the party scene and everybody having fun than, for me personally, it was more about that than it was about going out and hooking up with anybody. But that's sometimes people, and I'm gonna steer myself back into. Some guys go on benders, or women go on benders. We go on benders. Sometimes we isolate ourselves. We decide, no, I don't want to be around anybody. I just want to wallow in my freaking misery. And I don't know that I've ever done that, unless I was broke. Maybe. But I'm usually out with the guys, and so and I got lots of guys. I got a lot of friends. Appreciate all you guys anyways. We'll get all weird about it. Anyways, some people go to therapy. I'm just going to stop right there, man, and just I'm not going to talk about therapists or therapy at all. I think that there's sometimes it's very, very helpful, and sometimes it is just a waste of freaking time. And I've got some experience with therapists for relationships. I will talk about that. Therapists for other stuff, absolutely not going to discuss. Some people get religious. So I'm going to try to do my best on this one to not offend all you religious people and super religious people. But you're probably not watching anyways. Yes, you are, because I'm hashtagging church and Jesus. So those of you that are religious, you guys go to church. And so I'm going to ask you this question. I'm not going to get on the Jesus soapbox today, but why wasn't your focus in your relationship? Why didn't you incorporate God in your relationship, in your religion, whatever that is, God, Buddha, Allah? Why weren't you incorporating that into your relationship? That is to say, why weren't you living a Christian life or a religious or spiritual life, whatever that is? Because I think that, if we really look back on it and you say, oh my God, I'm a follower of Christ, I'm going to put a period right there and stop. So, sometimes we go out with our friends and it leads to bad decisions. And we've talked about that. I haven't got into it yet, but we're going to. So, post-China virus, I started dating somebody that lasted 3 or 4 months. Maybe, I think, okay. I'm not going to give any dates because then people will know. And then I started up a kind of a thing with somebody else. And it was, I don't know that it was a rebound because I had been pursuing this person probably for about 9 months, 10 months. I think it's about 10 months. So I started this relationship with this other person and we hit it off pretty well. And we were cohabitating. We weren't cohabitating 100%, but I stayed at her place most of the time. And then the girl prior to her hit me up and wanted to talk because she was heartbroken that I broke up with her. And so I'm not bullshitting either. I'm not being facetious. And so I went back over there, and then so it's trying to not get too detailed on this, but then we ended up hooking up. So I started hooking up with her. Then she got jealous about the girl I was still with, but she knew she was side dish. So ladies, if you know you're side dish, let's be realistic. If you know you're the girl on the side, and you have to accept that, and you can, this whole dynamic of, well, you're with her and da-da-da. Yeah, you knew I was with her, and I'm staring you in the eyes right now, person. You knew I was with her. You knew I got with her, and you got upset. You were jealous that I was with her. Well, so then I broke up with her for you. You know this. So then after that, I gotta stop saying so. After that, I got back with the first girl A. That's the number one, but girl A. A for you ASL people. And I got back with girl A. Girl B was upset, so girl A and I lasted, I don't know, a couple weeks, and then girl B re-entered the picture. B. Number two, not deuces. So B girl and I get back together, and we stay together for another 3-4 months. Well, then here comes back to girl A. And so went back with girl A. That lasted 2-3 weeks. She's a little nutty. So then I ended up back with girl B. Stayed with girl B for about 5 months. That just steamy pile of shit. Not her, but the whole situation. That turned into, anyways. And so then girl A still floated around here and there, but girl B completely removed from the situation for a number of reasons. So, but what I'm getting at is that sometimes I have made some stupid mistakes, and that was kind of one of them, per se. I don't know. I think actually girl A knows all this, but girl B doesn't. and girl B will not watch this, so I'm worried. All right, so, and that went on, that AB, the back and forth went on for 2 years. And those of you who were around me in my life, you know what was going on. And we should have kicked girl B to the curb a long time ago. And yes, I know. And girl A, yes, I know. So even though I'm old and somewhat wiser, I'm still stupid. And, when I say I'm a semi-reformed womanizer, I mean that. I'm semi-reformed. I still fall back into certain things. And sometimes I just I see the best in people, even though the best, I see one thing and there's 8 things that I should, this is for the red flag episode, I should not do. So I talked about charity work. So next week's episode is going to be on my personal, these are the type of people I don't date. And it's more indicative of what they do for career, but I'm going to explain myself. It's more indicative of this is what, don't date this type of person, that type of person. I think some of that is more of a red flag conversation. And then there's the type of person that you can stereotype by career, mind you, and say, oh, well, you shouldn't date. And for instance, I'm going to go there, hairstylists, because hairstylists are batshit crazy. And if you're a hairstylist, I'm sorry, but you are. And you know you are. And I don't know what it's from. It's from chemicals when you dye women's hair, or it's from the dynamic of the thing, or you have to listen to people talk about the freaking problems all day. It's almost as bad as being a bartender, not quite. Or you put chemicals in your hair all the time. I don't know what it is, but there's a thing about hairstylists, and I will talk about it again next week, and I will give some hairstylist stories from my experience. But we do some charity work, and so again, it's that person that you would never bring around your guy. I mean, like this guy, I have a buddy that texted me yesterday after I posted my short, and Spasiba. And he said, you have never, and this is as long as this is true, you've never dropped your standards for anybody. And I said, well, you're probably right as long as you've known me, and this is fair, probably 5 years. I haven't dated anybody that wasn't above that would be considered a charity case or anything like that. And that was because I used to do quantity over quality, and I used to look for the good in the inside. And I realized that no matter what, we're all a little off in one way, shape, or form. But what I decided, but he's right. I haven't nines and God. I'm not going to say this. Nines and dimes, right? So, and sometimes 5s, 6s. I have a buddy. Sorry, man. I'm not going to. But he's the king of the 6s. You know who I'm talking about, and you know I'm talking about you. There's nothing wrong with that, I used to say the joke was like, I stopped doing charity work because you can't write it off on your taxes because tax code changed. But in all reality, sometimes people connect and you just don't know why. Everybody has different tastes, and that's totally okay. And everybody, you're who you are. We're going to do an episode on normal, and I got a surprise about another episode, but we're going to do an episode on normal, and what is normal for you is not normal for the person sitting next to you. It's not normal from your family member. It's not normal for anybody. Everybody lives in their own normal. And there are certain things by social contract that are normal behaviors. Yes, but that doesn't mean that your thoughts and your feeling, man, how you feel and what you think is your normal, and that's okay. So let me get off the soapbox on that one. But if you say you have never gone out, and to my Army buddies out there, I'm not going to say anything beyond, yes, we have been. No, I'm not saying that. We've been out hogging, okay? I did not participate because I am somewhat shallow. Just a hair, a little shallow, a little vain, but that's so be it. I accept myself for who I am, self-reflection, not self-deception. But yeah, we've all gone out and done that. And so for you to say I've never slept with someone that was just not up to par, I cry bullshit. So I'm going to work on because I know I'm saying it. No matter what decisions we make in life, at the end of the day, we have to live with them. I have lived with my mistakes, and I've lived with my things that I've done. I always openly am happy to say I apologize if I did something that was so heinous. And there are times that I've done some stupid shit, and I know that. But I also recognize it. I can look in the mirror and say, Gary, you did something wrong, or Gary, you shouldn't do that again. And that's, to me, is that self-reflection. For those of you who are unable to do that, And I know quite a few people who are. It's not just people I've dated, but friends that they can't, express themselves emotionally. It takes some time. It took me a long time. And so it's okay to be done. We all have regrets. So forgive yourself. I mean, that's it. Embrace your faults. Forgive yourself. Try to be a better person. Accept the fact, okay, so maybe you do go out and you just sleep around a whole bunch. That's okay too, man. The era of slut shaming is over, to a point. I mean, like, I get it. There's a line in the sand. So, last week I did a music recommendation. I'm going to do another one. EDM for life, baby. So, and I thought about this earlier. If you don't like EDM, I think it's okay. But then I thought about it. It's really not okay. You know what? If you don't like EDM, fuck you. I don't get it. I I like every type of music. There are things I prefer over this and that. But there's EDM for life. That's all I'm going to say. So, music. I listened to live set Seismic 6.0, Walker and Royce. It was, I listened to an hour and a half of set every day at the gym. This is kind of my thing. It didn't really get going until 50 minutes. I mean, I've seen Walker and Royce live. I like their single. I don't remember that single. Great. But the live set, not so much. I mean, I would need a pillow if I were at their set. I would get a pillow because the first 50 minutes put me to sleep. If you really want to get something cranked up, Morton. Everybody knows I love Morton. He stole my dance moves, but I love Morton. I was listening to it today. Morton, anything that Morton does, but his State of Trance mix that's on YouTube right now is spectacular. Also, Netflix. I'm going to give a Netflix recommendation. I'm watching Wrong Side of the Tracks. It's Spanish. It's pretty. There's no wokeness in there. Let me tell you something, man. It is straight up. I'm not going to spoil any of it for you, but has some really funny moments, but it's got some really serious stuff in there too. So if you're looking for something to watch, it's 3 seasons. All the episodes are like an hour and 10 minutes long. It is a little tedious at times, but and the Spanish dub isn't bad at all. So everything's in English. Good job on Netflix. Announcements. My child, Mr. Ryan Hensler, sir, has agreed to be on the podcast. We're going to sort out the geography of it here shortly because I'm on the West Coast and he's in the Midwest. But he's going to be a guest. He's going to be a guest speaker, and we're going to talk about the generational divide of dating. We're also going to tell some stories about when he and I were living together and he was like 20, and this was like when I was in my mid-40s, going through my midlife crisis. Or I'm still going through midlife crisis, whatever. But and I think that's really all we got. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all the feedback. I appreciate every one of you. Thank you for watching. And this is Gary, that Gary. Deuces.